of this video, guys, is going to be about why romance is absurd. This is such a dodgy topic for a video, such a weird topic for a video. I just wanted to really talk about it, guys. Why romance is absurd. What is romance? What is romance? It should be on the screen. Romance, basically when two people like each other very much and they come together and they create a relationship and stuff. That's what romance sort of is like that. It's like sort of like that. It's kind of like the that type of if you ever watch any type of Disney films, like what was it, Cinderella or something? Is that Disney? I don't know. Cinderella, something similar to that. I don't know. It's like two people like each other, they come together and they create like a relationship. That is sort of like what romance is. Kind of a little bit about that. Not, I don't know, I'm making this, I'm making it myself seem kind of a little bit retarded because I don't, romance, it should be kind of a little bit common sense. We should all know what romance is sort of about. Like when two people like each other, they come together and they create a relationship and blah, blah, blah. And that is sort of what romance is. Anyway, it's on the screen anyway if you want a proper definition, but I want to just get into this now because the topic of this video, guys, is why romance is absurd. Why romance is absurd. You know, romance, we all would love to believe in like something similar, something like romance, like that two people, if they like each other very much, they can come together and they can create a relationship and they can stay together for a long time. A lot of us, we would want to believe in this and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that romance is not real. I'm not saying that when two people love each other very, very much, they can't just come together and stay happily ever after. This is typically why romance is absurd. I'm really like now thinking about like why is divorce also so common? Why is it that when people they initially they like each other very much and then perhaps they get married and then later on they get divorced and they start to hate each other and become very resentful and hateful towards each other? Why is that? Why is it that's what it's like a weird like development that happens? It's so common, guys. Look into the statistics of like divorce. I think a lot of marriages they fail and they end in divorce. Why is that, guys? It's so insane. If you once you look into the statistics and the nitty-gritty research, I'm not going to show you any of that in this video because it's gonna hurt your head, it's gonna numb your mind and etc. I don't want to like bore you to death showing you all like the numerical data, showing you all the statistical data about divorce and all that type of stuff. That's gonna fucking do your head in. I'm not going to waste your time with that. But why romance is absurd? Because we would all want to believe in romance. Obviously, I bet a lot of us when we were younger, we thought that we would find like a nice girl and stuff, and we would get together and stuff and live happily ever after. A lot of us, we wanted to have this type of like, this was sort of like one of our ambitions, especially as young men. Maybe if you're a woman, you might want to find some type of Prince Charming, get rid of some type of Prince Charming and live happily ever after. Obviously, if you're a woman, I don't know. I always dedicate my videos to men because I'm a man. And that's what I'm about. I love talking about men's issues because I'm a man and it relates to me and stuff like that. If you're a woman, you can kind of twist the words about a little bit. Maybe you can just think instead of like me, that you can kind of change the words in your own head about what I'm talking about to make it more suited for you. Anyway, but back to the topic, especially young men, we all have like these types of ambitions to find some nice girl and to live happily ever after and etc. and stuff like that. We all wanted to find some type of like Sleeping Beauty or some type of Cinderella princess, like a female that we can spend our lives forever and ever and stuff with. It's always like, especially if you're a young man, romance, you for sure probably are thinking about romance, especially as a young man. I think majority of young men are thinking about romance. That's like at least that has to be one of your ambitions as a young man. Romance, maybe perhaps sex as well, sexual developing like some type of experience with sex. I don't know, does that sound fucking stupid? Developing some type of experience, like you want to fuck women basically. As a young man, you got these types of ambitions that you want to experience some type of romance and you want to fuck a lot of women. I know I do and stuff like that, especially as a young man. It's very difficult to get it done properly though, guys. I'm telling you guys. Tinder date, have you ever tried Tinder? It's so fucking hard to get off, especially if you're an average guy. It's very difficult to get anything off that. But anyway, to get your nuts like popped. I don't want to get too into the dirty details. But back on to the topic of this video, why romance is absurd. We would all want to believe in this type of life. Yeah, go away, man. I'm doing something, man. Shut up, man. I'm busy, man. I'm recording a video, man. Why romance is absurd. We would all want to believe in fucking like Prince Charming, Cinderella, all this stuff. This Disney movie stuff, man. Disney, I used to watch that when I was a little boy. I used to fucking watch all the Disney movies, man, the Disney cartoons when I was just a little boy. Of course, we all want to buy into that. We want to believe in that romance is real and that it is possible for two people to love each other very much and they come together and they stay together forever and ever until they die. But why is it that divorce happens, guys? That's what I'm really getting at. Why is divorce so fucking common? Why do two people get married and then they have a bunch of kids and then it all goes to shit and then they get divorced and they start hating each other? What the fuck is going on with that? That is so fucking common, guys. I'm not even kidding around. Divorce is so fucking common, guys. All the romance is like a type of like romance stuff, like two people coming together, living happily ever after, guys. That is so fucking rare. What's more common, guys, is fucking divorce. Divorce, when two people, it's so bizarre. They get together, they like each other to some extent, and then they get divorced. Why is that? It's so bizarre, guys. It's such a fucking weird conundrum. It's a mystery, guys. But why romance is absurd? To put it, I'm just gonna like kind of give you my own £2 pennies on this. I just think that if you're like, one of the reasons why I think that most relationships fail, guys, most marriages fail, is because romance, like why it's kind of absurd is because if you, like, it's very difficult to be around someone 24/7 for the rest of your life. That is a difficult challenge, guys. Have you guys ever been with someone for such a prolonged period of time? This is why most relationships fail, because most relationships, guys, become overwhelming, guys. It is quite a fucking challenge, guys, to be with someone day in, day out, 24/7, all through for the rest of your life. That is a fucking challenge, guys. A lot of us, we don't see relationships as being challenges. Like when you're with someone, that person has like, there's like a lot of ugliness to that person, right? The ugliness is like, that person has to shit and piss. You have to like, perhaps you might need to smell that, I don't know. Hopefully not. Maybe you might want to smell that, I don't know, if you're very into that type of kinky stuff, I don't know. But that's very difficult. Like women, when you're with someone, you have to tolerate all the ugliness in that person. That like we always see things in a more idealistic way. That it's kind of that, which is very dumb. Like the moment, like this is why most relationships fail, because they become overwhelming. When you move in with someone, you're not only seeing like that. Like typically when people meet, they always show their best sides to each other. Typically, like when two people meet, they're showing their like best behavior to each other. Basically, you're not seeing the ugliness to that person. That's why it's so funny. Typically, like when two people meet, they show their best sides to each other. Of course you do. You're trying to be like very polite, courteous. You're trying to be like Prince Charming. You put this facade on. You're trying to be extra courteous and stuff like that. That's like a fake persona that you're making up for yourself just to impress the person that you're with for that temporary period of time. But a lot of what happens typically is that that happens at the beginning of the honeymoon. It's not a honeymoon. I'm fucking twisting my words. But anyway, when two people meet, they show their best sides to each other and stuff, and then they kind of leave it at that, and then they return home, and they only show their best sides. That's why initially the two people might be very much in love with each other, but then what happens is that these two people, they start to get into a relationship. Maybe perhaps they move into the same house with each other, and now you're not just gonna be seeing the best side. You're gonna see the ugliness in the other person. Because us human beings, we have two sides to us. We have like the good side, so to speak, and the bad side, the ugliness, the bitchy moodiness, the shitting. Like we have to shit and piss, take showers. We have like a lot of ugliness in us, guys. We also have a lot of beauty, but there's also ugliness, guys. And when people get together, that all the ugliness comes out, and then that's why most relationships fail. That is so fucking true, guys. You meet someone, you're only going to see the best side of that person in that temporary period of time. But when you get into it, but it becomes very different when you start to get into a relationship and you move into the same house. Now you're going to see the ugliness to that in that person. That's why most relationships fail, guys. Because typically two people, they fall in love and they show, and it's almost like an illusion. They fall in love with like the wrong side of someone. Maybe not the wrong side. They fall in love with like this kind of like very, like this Prince Charming facade. They don't see the true person for who he actually is, who he or she. Again, you might be gay as well, I don't know. There's somebody, I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but the ugliness, guys, that's what typically, when you get into this is why most relationships fail, guys. It's because if you're spending your all day with someone, day in, day out, 24/7 for the rest of your life, that becomes overwhelming, guys. And you're going to see a lot of ugliness in the other person. All of us human beings, we have like a lot of ugliness in us. We have a lot of beauty, good character, but we also have a lot of ugliness, bad character, bad behavior, bad traits. A lot of us were vindictive, vicious, psychopathic, selfish, mean, cruel. That is reality, guys. As a human being, you have fucking two sides to you. You have the good side, the Prince Charming side, the courteous side, the hospitality side, and there's this other side to you, the ugly side. You have to shit and piss in the morning. You have to fucking brush your teeth because your breath stinks. That ugliness, guys. When two people get into a relationship, that ugliness starts to come out, guys. That's why most relationships fail, because the ugliness starts to come out. You start to see the ugly side of your romantic partner. You don't see the best side anymore, because you might go on some shitty dates. You go to the shop, you go on a shitty date. You're only going to be seeing the best version of that person. You're not going to be seeing the shitty side of that person. But when you start to get into a relationship with that person, you move into a house and stuff. You're all like cozied up together, and you're spending time 24/7 with each other. You're going to see the ugly side, guys. That other person might be farting, shitting, pissing. You're going to see that, guys. You're going to experience that as well, and that's going to drastically lower your attraction to that person. That's why most relationships fail, guys. Why romance is absurd. Spending time 24/7, day in, day out with someone, that's going to do your head in, guys. It's very difficult to stay in a relationship for a long period of time anyway, but that's up for you guys to decide, and I think that's about it, guys.